Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a look at the out-of-box review for the Gastima. I'm calling it Gastima. The Japanese is actually supposed to be pronounced Jastima, but because the way it's spelled in English with a G, I'm going to go with Gastima. That's what I've been calling it, and that's what I'm going to stick with for this. Anyway, a big thank you once again to MindFenix Hobby Store for giving me this kit. I liked this kit from when it was first announced. I thought the design looked really good, but then I put off pre-ordering it because I thought, just because I had such bad experience with other HG kits from the Reconguista and G storyline. But then they hooked me up with this kit, and after building it I can say that I really like this kit. It's by far my favorite kit that I've built from that series so far. The HG G-Self Assault Pack was a really cool kit, but I think that's just really enjoyable because it's so like big and bulky and just kind of unique in that way. This kit, as just like the mobile suit itself, I think is really awesome. It does suffer basically from a lot of the similar things that I've complained about on other HG kits from the Reconguista and G storyline, which I'll talk about those more in detail in a moment. But I think the pros on this just outweigh those cons so much that those cons just really don't bother me, and I really can't even complain about some of those on this kit. It does have some very notable cons, and I'll definitely make sure to mention those, but overall I just want you guys to know right off the bat that I think this kit is really great. If you are interested in the design, you think it looks good or appealing to at all, definitely go for it. Don't need to hesitate with this kit. It's definitely going to be worth it. Taking a look around the kit, the first thing that I like about it is just the color scheme. For one, this is not really sticking out there like that. Anyway, the color scheme is really nice. I like the just kind of beige around the top, the shoulders, and the chest, and the one arm. I like that it's, aside from just the shoulders themselves being different, being asymmetrical, I like that the arms are asymmetrical as well, just that in their color. The mold is actually totally the same, it's just that one is in that mustardy yellow color, and then the one is in the beige color. So yeah, some really great colors going on here, just some few accents of black here. This is a sticker on the arm, and then these triangles on the hands are stickers as well, and then I have a sticker on the eyes as well. I think that's basically it for the stickers. There wasn't really all that many for this kit. And then we have some more other dark parts on the hands, the feet, and some of the joints, and the kind of internal parts are in that kind of darker brown color plastic as well. So it's got some really nice contrast going around and just a very unusual color scheme, so I think it works very well. Other than that, it's got some really great details around everywhere on it, and that's one thing that I thought the Reconguista and G kits have been doing very well. If nothing else, at least they've got some pretty nice detail around on the kits, so this one definitely has that too. You can see with just these like small little circles and little detail lines here and there and kind of all of that. The other thing is that I think this kit is more stable compared to the other Reconguista and G kits that I've built. The G-Self, once again, I thought was okay. I didn't really have too much to complain about with that one. But the Elf Bullock and the Space Jahannam both were just a little bit too unstable for me. I think this one definitely feels much more stable. Why don't we go ahead now and take a look at some of the articulation. It's got some really nice articulation going on here. So starting with the head, which just, first of all, just the head is so unique and cool. I think a lot of people didn't like the forward-pointing V-fin for the G-Self, but with this one, I haven't heard anyone complaining about it because I think it definitely suits the look and the design of this kit, maybe much more than a lead protagonist Gundam. We do have a clear pink piece inside of there. That's one of the things I like about this too, is that it has a lot of small little clear pink parts that are going to be popping out everywhere, here on the shoulders, here on the sides of the chest, here on inside the legs there as well, on the side of the shoulder here, and then there's 3 of these around on that side. We've got some clear pink pieces that are going to go on the back that we'll talk about momentarily. Anyway, there is one inside the head as well, and it pops out on the sides. If you didn't have the sticker there, if you wanted to paint that, you've got clear pink inside there as well. So the head is just on the standard ball joint. Sadly, it doesn't go up very much. This is as far as the head is going to go up, which is basically nothing. But it is going to go down well enough like that and just do kind of the normal amount of head motion. Here in the waist, it's got some really nice articulation. So here you can see bending forward and bending back is very nice. Of course, if you bend it too much farther back, it's probably going to pop off that polycap, but I'm pushing it back and it's not popping off, so that's very good. So you're going to have, the head doesn't go up much, but because you get so much backwards bend in there, if you want to have it like flying forward, I think it can do that just fine because you've got some really nice backward bending in the stomach there. Side to side, it's going to be pretty good as well. Not anything like super like outstanding, unbelievable, but it's more than a lot of other HGs, so that's good. Here on the shoulders, we've got the same kind of typical shoulder joint where it's the polycap that swings out there. You do have to be careful with these because it is easy to pop those out, but you just have to be a little bit careful with it. Then the arms are just very standard, some rotation there, and then a pretty nice elbow joint though. I think we get some really nice movement there. With these huge giant shoulders, I mean, there's nowhere really else for the arm to go. So that's pretty good. The double joint there is very nice and it's going to work really well. But here is going to be one of the problems for me on this kit. It's a very easy problem to solve though, is this seam line here down the arm is pretty nasty, and especially when you swap the hands, when you move the hands at all, it splits that apart quite a bit. So you can see like that big split there. Pretty easy to solve with just some glue and putty and sanding. You could just get rid of that seam line very easily before you go to paint this kit. But if you don't paint, just keep in mind that you're going to have that there. You'll just have to press it back together once you put your hand in. And it's still noticeable, of course, but not too bad. Speaking of the hands, this is the other thing that is going to be a negative for this kit, is that it's having the same problem as all the other Reconguista and G kits, is that the hands are really nicely detailed, but they're just such a boring shape. The Gundams like hardly ever make hands in this shape. Like, it's so boring and static and dull. It's not like when you have open hands, you want them to be able to like be used for some kind of cool action pose, and like these don't look like they're doing any action at all. So minus points for the hands for sure, but some really nice movement here on these shoulder pieces, so you can get some good up and down movement on there. So overall the arms are very good in terms of the articulation. Great articulation in the waist. All of the skirt armor is pretty standard. The front skirts are attached, but you can just clip those apart to make them move separately. The side skirts are just going to move up and down a little bit. The back skirt is just fixed there. We have some thrusters up underneath inside of there. And then the legs are going to be very standard as well. So rotation there at the top. And then a very nice double joint here in, single joint. But I think it was like a double joint inside of there, but just because like this part doesn't move, it only really acts as a single joint. But some nice separation for the knee armor, just because the shape of it is kind of separating from this part of the knee. Looks pretty cool. And then on the back, some really nice detail with these kind of vents sticking out there. So that's nice, and a little vernier there on the side. And those clear pink parts sticking out in the front, and these other vents here on the front. Some just really nice looking legs. I just really like the bulk of the legs too. I think when you've got some huge, giant, bulky shoulders, you have to make the legs a little bit bulky. I think the legs could have been a little bit longer on this kit, but that's just the design. I think it is very accurate to the actual artwork design for it, so I can't really fault it for that. It's just my own personal taste in the design. I wish the legs were maybe a little bit longer. And then the feet. Some people have complained about the feet, I think, just because they're so small and they're high heel shape. Not everyone really likes that, but personally I do really like this style of feet. And I think like the really huge bulky legs here and these tiny feet is a really cool look. I like that in kits. So again, that's just a personal taste though, but some pretty cool feet, and the bottoms of the feet have some pretty nice detail there. We have this thing in the bottom which looks like it's supposed to be some sort of thruster or vernier, but it also looks like it could be some sort of like beam gun as well. I'm not sure if that's true, or maybe if anyone knows, you could let me know. You know, Reconguista and G, they throw like diffusion beam weapons all over the kits, so it's kind of hard to know what's what. The ankle armor is just going to move a little bit back and forth there, and the ankles just in general are pretty standard, so not really anything I really need to say in particular about that. We don't have any movement in the toe. These feet don't fold up at all, they're just one solid piece like that. So that's pretty much it for the articulation. Here on the back, we can take a look at these wires that we've got here. I think the wires are really nice. The quality of the wires that Bandai gave us is good because they're the kind that you can just kind of form and reshape very easily. So if you've got it like really goofy like that. Some wires, if it was stuck like that, it'd be really hard to reshape it back to a shape that looks very like natural. But these wires that we've got here are very easy to just reshape with your hand and make them look natural again like that. So pretty good. Basically, when you're building the chest, you just tie a knot in there and then string it through. So the knot inside is what's holding the wire in there. And then you just plug it into the bottom of the beam saber handles, and then the beam saber handles just plug onto these pegs here. I found on mine, this one's really tight, while the other side is really loose. So I might just need to add some glue onto the one. This one's really loose and comes out pretty easily, but it seems to be holding in there right now. The other thing is that they don't stay down all that well. Again, if you just kind of move it around a little bit, you can get it to stay there, but they can come off and look like that a lot, and that just doesn't look exactly right. That's pretty much it for the mobile suit. Just to talk a little bit about these shoulders and the weapons that it does have kind of built into the mobile suit. Here on the shoulder, these little things, which these parts were really difficult to get in, so just be careful with that. I had one like shoot away and fly across the room, but luckily I found it pretty easily. Just be careful when you're pressing those in, you're going to have a little bit of trouble there. But these three things around here are the beam diffusion cannons, and then I think that this one on this shoulder acts as a beam diffusion cannon as well, other than this just being where you're going to be using this effect part. So this is the effect part for the beam shield. Basically what we're going to do is take this part out carefully, like that, and then we just want to plug this in through the shield first. Very secure in there. I think I'm probably going to have trouble getting that back out again. And then it just plugs back onto the shield once again like that. And it's very large. We can see it's quite big compared to the Gundam there. So definitely going to have some pretty good protection. And because the shield, I think there's quite a big gap between the body and the shoulder armor. So it doesn't really look that good if you've got it posed in a way that kind of where you can see that gap very easily. If you just kind of have to pose it in a way where you can't see the gap so much. But the good point about that gap is that you're able to bring the shoulder very far forward like that if you want to have it putting that beam shield to use like that to sort of block almost from the front. So some pretty good movement there that does come in handy for using that. And no weight issues with this. You can see I can angle the shoulder armor up and it's not drooping down at all, so that's good. Here on the other side, this part just slides open, and you have to be a little bit careful. Pull it out gently. If you pull it off too hard, you'll just pull off this cap part. But then these are the funnel missiles in here. Online I've seen them called just missiles, and then I've seen them called funnel missiles, and I've seen them called photon missiles. So I don't know if it maybe has more than one different kind of missiles inside, or just people can't seem to agree what is the actual name for those. But anyway, that's what those are inside there. So pretty cool mechanism how that can just open up. Works good. Now let's go ahead and talk about some of the other accessories that we have for this. First, I usually like to talk about any extra parts that we have left over from the building the kit, and this is the only part that we have left over. It's just one of those parts that go on the shoulder. It's on a runner where we have 2 on the runner, and then we have 2 of that runner, so we have 4 of them. We only need 3, so this is going to be the only part that you're going to have left over. But this would be, I mean, definitely a part that you can use on another kit if you want just like to add a beam cannon or like an extra circular vernier thruster on one of your kits. Just cut off these small pegs on there and just glue that right on, and there you go. It's pretty, might want to just keep that around. Then I have us looking at the back here because I want to show these 3 clear pink parts, and these are to make on the back. It is called the photon balancer. So I haven't seen this kit in the series to really know too much about what that is, but just based on the name and just my own best guess, what I imagine the photon balancer is basically its propulsion system, because as you can see there's a couple of verniers around on the kit, but only a couple. It doesn't really have any large thrusters, so I think basically what this is acting as its kind of propulsion system. So I haven't tried this yet, but let's see how easy it is to take these parts off the back. So we have this part here on the backpack, which I think should be easy to take off from the bottom. Okay, well actually those parts were not as easy to get off as I'd hoped. I ended up having to use a knife blade to kind of pry those parts out, but it wasn't too bad. Anyway, here I forgot there are other stickers. These are just the mirror stickers that go in underneath those parts, back of the head, back of the torso, and the back of the back skirt armor, and then we're just going to put in our clear pink pieces. Just pop those into there like that. That doesn't seem too secure, but hopefully it's in there well enough. That one went in fine. And then on the back of the head, so there we go. That mirror sticker under there definitely helps to make those very shiny. I think if it was just the clear pink plastic, they wouldn't really shine as brightly, but the stickers definitely help. So even if you are going to paint the kit, you might want to consider just keeping those stickers and using those underneath there. If you have some paint that will do the same job, you can do that too, but I mean, you have the stickers that are already kind of, that work very well. I think you might as well just use those in there, even if you're going to paint. But that's that, and they look pretty well. If someone can tell me if I'm wrong about the kind of what the photon balancer means, what that actually means, what that actually is, if I'm wrong about that, let me know in the comments below, and I'll try to add an annotation here or something for anyone else who might be interested about that. But that's what that looks like. The other accessories we have are a couple of holding hands. So we have the open hands on the kit, and then we have these two holding hands, which are going to hold our beam saber handles on the back of the mobile suit, as well as this beam rifle. Now, the beam rifle, here's where I think we probably, I don't want to say should have had stickers, because I think this is a part where I think stickers would not have been good at all. I mean, foil stickers for the most part, you really shouldn't use anyway. You should just paint instead, but for people who do use stickers, this is a big color app that I think maybe they could have tried to do stickers for, but I don't know. Anyway, this top part here and this back part are supposed to be in kind of a hot pink color. So I think, of course, ideally it would have been nice to just have those as two parts, but then they would have had to make like a really small runner and make that in hot pink with just those two parts on there. It would have been nice, but you know, oh well, can't really have it all. This is just 3 pieces, it's just 2 pieces sandwiched together and then 1 piece for the tip. All of this does is just fit down into the hand, so I've complained about this on other kits, and so I have to complain about it here too. The hand doesn't actually put any finger on the trigger, so it does look a little bit goofy just holding the rifle like this. But personally, I don't really like the look of this rifle all that much anyway. It's okay, but it's a little bit boring actually, and doesn't really look a whole lot like anything really. I think modifying this a little bit might be a good idea, just to make it a little bit more interesting, adding a scope or secondary barrel on it or something like that. I don't know. So for the rifle, you can just slide that in there. For the beam sabers, you're going to have to take apart the hand. I'll show you in just a second. Here's our beam saber effect parts. These are once again the 1/100 scale beam saber effect parts. So they're going to be large in size. So basically, we can just take off one of the handles here from the back and plug in the effect part like so. Then take our holding hand, take that apart, take the open hand off, like this, put the holding hand on the beam saber. There is no like peg system to hold the beam saber, it just kind of holds it in there kind of loosely. I kind of wish that they would have had some sort of peg in for that so it would be a little bit more secure, but it's not too bad. Plug that together, plug it into the mobile suit, and then there we go. Nice big huge beam saber we've got for that. It's definitely very large, but it looks really cool, and it seems like, I think this kit looks better as using the beam sabers as its primary weapon, just because it's so unique that those are attached onto the wires on the back, and then just because of their size as well. This is one problem that I've had happen quite a bit, is that when the beam sabers are in hand, the hand cover comes off very easily. So I think if you wanted to use these, if you're sure that this is how you want to display it permanently, I would definitely put some glue on the hand just to keep that from coming apart. But it otherwise does hold them very well. The arms are really secure, so it's not really going to have any problems holding these up in any way that you want. And that is pretty much it for the accessories. It doesn't really come with anything else other than that, but once again, I think that this as a main weapon really suits this mobile suit, so I don't really want anything else to come with it. So to summarize, I think this kit does a lot of things very well. Just to cover some of the negatives again first, there are a couple of areas where you have some pretty bad seam lines. There are a couple of areas where some parts are a little bit loose, and you might have a little bit of trouble just keeping those parts tight. And the only area where the design really seems lazy is kind of the gun handle. I mean, I wish the head could point up a little bit more, but I think that's just the design. I don't really know how else they could have done that to fix that. It's just the design of the Gundam, or the design of the mobile suit doesn't really allow for that. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. I think it's got so much more going on in terms of positives. The colors are great. The articulation is pretty very good, I think. I almost can't even say that the articulation is very good, but I have to say it. The articulation is really quite good. So definitely compared to other kits that I've seen from the series. Of course, I haven't built them all, so I can't say that it's better than all of them. But from the ones that I've built, it's definitely the best. The weapons, though fairly minimal, it's basically just beam sabers and a beam rifle. It's pretty standard and not really anything too exciting. I think this kit does use them very well. The beam rifle, like I said, is not really my favorite, but it does hold it and use it, I mean, well enough. And it is relatively larger in size, so that does look kind of cool, just that it's slightly large. And then the beam sabers just being so huge. And also I forgot to mention, the beam sabers are in a clear red. It's kind of hard to tell, but you can definitely notice the difference. If you had a clear pink beam, you'd definitely be able to see quite a big difference there. These are much darker. And I think that this kit, one thing that it just has, it's probably the best thing about it is just aside from the design, honestly I just really like the design a lot, but it also has just really amazing gimmicks. These being able to switch out these back parts with these clear pink parts, that's really cool. Using the wires to go to the beam sabers, that's really cool. This huge beam shield on the shoulder, that's really cool. This shoulder opening up to have the missiles inside there, that's really cool. Just the clear pink parts around everywhere on the kit, on the shoulders, in the chest parts I showed you, on the front of the chest, on the front of the legs, that's really cool. It's just got a lot of the gimmicks on this, and a kit with a lot of gimmicks is not always necessarily a good thing, but on this, all of them are actually really good and they work really well. Some really, really nice, very mentionable points of articulation in the arms, knees, hips, and the stomach area, the waist, so a lot of really great articulation going on there as well. It's just overall very, very nice. Alright, so one more pose here using those two beam sabers just to wrap up this review, just because, as I said, I think these kind of work best as the main weapons of the mobile suit. You just kind of have to show off how awesome those giant beam sabers are, and then as well with the wires out, it just looks really great. And that's basically it, guys. I think basically, if you couldn't tell from the majority of this review, I would highly recommend this kit. It's not really all that expensive. I think, if I remember correctly, the list price is 1,700 yen. So, I mean, that is slightly higher than maybe the average, I guess, but barely. I mean, it's still definitely worth it. I would just say it's definitely worth that price. If you like the design, if you like what you've seen in this review, definitely go ahead and pick one up if you get a chance. I think you won't be disappointed. And just putting in a little bit of work, especially to remove that seam line on the arms, and that it's not really a whole lot of extra work that you have to do before going in to paint this, in terms of the seam lines and other sort of things that you might need to fix or just kind of make a little bit better. One thing that I did forget to say is that there was some safety nubs here, not on the ends of the V-fins, but on these smaller points that go off to the sides. There were some safety nubs on there, or flags. I did remove those, so you will have to sharpen those a bit, but otherwise, yeah, my point is that there's not a lot of work that you'll have to do before going in to paint this kit, so it's gonna be looking very, very awesome, I think, once you do. That's basically it. If you guys have any other questions or comments, anything about this kit, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.